Hello, my name is Casey Modest, and I am in the STEM Education Master's Program. I currently work as a third-year kindergarten teacher in the Reading School District. Outside of work, I like to play the ukulele, spend time with my daughter, and play video games with my husband. As a side note, I recently found a fascination with honeybees and their way of life. Within my first year as a teacher, the world was shut down by COVID, and I was forced to complete a whole year of teaching fully online, as defined on page 26. My main platform consisted of Google products, Google Classroom, and Google Meet. A lot of our teaching was synchronous with a touch of asynchronous work thrown in each day. I had to use my technology skills to help families and coworkers problem solve technology issues. As page 32 comforts the fact that I am no expert, but had enough understanding to run the class. It was challenging to keep the students focused and engaged throughout the day, but as time went on, I changed my approach to teaching on a screen and made my lessons more attractive and engaging for my students. On page 33, the text talks about being flexible and that teachers may need to change a lesson design or supplement instruction to better suit individual student needs. As a student, I took a STEM class for my grad courses last semester that was fully online. I loved being able to create at my own pace. However, I knew my deadlines and was able to regulate myself and make sure all of my work was done on time. Just like on page 35, where students are not in the same physical space as the online teacher, so they need to monitor and regulate their own behavior and processes. I took advantage of the opportunity to work ahead if I knew I had plans during the week. I also liked the fact that the class was open 24/7 so that I could work on it. This was evident that my teacher was following the guidelines from page 33 that talks about outlining the class in a way that students know exactly what to expect and know how to navigate the platform. Looking through the skills outlined in the Moskowitz text, I was able to pinpoint skills that I've developed and the ones that I needed to work on. Some of the skills I have developed are asking the right questions with the appropriate tone, page 29. I have practiced using different tones with different students depending on the need. Identifying different ways to encourage students, page 29. I am pretty good at motivating students and encouraging them in the classroom, and I'm sure that I can find a way to do the same online. Another skill I have developed is creating opportunities for collaboration among students and designing meaningful activities that engage and motivate them. Page 29. One of the current developments that I am working on as a teacher is creating opportunities for my students to work together to solve a complex problem. These problems are meaningful to the students and are engaging due to their hands-on nature. Some of the skills that I need to work on are having a strong knowledge of course content, page 30, because online teachers are frequently asked to create or modify curriculum. To be an online teacher, I would need to dig deeper into the curriculum so that I could modify it quickly for multiple students. Another skill is asking the right questions with the appropriate tone. Page 29. I am developing asking questions to further a student's response to maximize the learning. The last skill that I need to develop is the technology skills required to run an online class. From page 30. I would need training programs to help my online career due to the fact that I do not have prior experience running an asynchronous classroom. I noticed similarities between the online and the face-to-face teaching. Starting with Standard A, I noticed that most of the qualities of an online teacher directly correlate to face-to-face teaching. Two examples: the online teacher is a reflective practitioner, A2, resonates with the practice of always reflecting on a lesson and improving for the next time in the classroom. Also, maintains accurate records of relevant information and communications in the appropriate format, A8. Is something that I have to do for my classroom, although it is not usually digitally. Two qualities that I felt did not really correlate to face-to-face learning is continuously pursues knowledge and skills related to online learning, A3, and demonstrates knowledge of the role of online learning in preparing learners to participate as global citizens, A5. These two seem to be directed solely to online learning. Standard B, in my mind, had more qualities fit for only online learning. The one quality that I felt did correlate to face-to-face learning was incorporates discipline-specific technologies, tools, and resources to meet individual learner needs. B2. In the classroom, I have the opportunity to give students extra resources and tools to help them even if the resources are not digital. Standard C had a lot of qualities that matched face-to-face learning, creates expectations for appropriate interaction among learners, C2, and promotes learner-to-learner interactions in order to foster collaboration, C4, are big ones, especially in a classroom setting. Like in online learning, collaboration in the classroom is just as important to expand the knowledge of the students and to create a sense of belonging in the learning space. Also, develops a community among culturally diverse learners, C3, and meet the learning needs of all learners regardless of cultural background and perspectives, C5, is important in a classroom so that all students feel that they can contribute to the conversation and are learning together. Standard D was half and half for me. Establishes relationships through timely and encouraging communication, D4, is important in both settings to truly understand the student and the best way to get them where they need to be. Qualities that I felt did not really correlate face-to-face teaching were enables a learner customize pace and or path through instructional aligned with learners' individual goals, D3. Only because as a classroom teacher it's impossible to tailor a lesson to each specific student when there are 20 to 30 students sitting on the carpet, unlike in an online classroom. Standard E was a little difficult to find similarities, but I found two, both of which comprised of modeling how to comply with program policies such as fair use, E3, and acceptable use policies, E4. The quality that is harder in a face-to-face classroom is The quality that is harder in a face-to-face classroom is modeling digital citizenship, E1. However, not impossible, especially in higher grades, where technology is incorporated more frequently in the classroom. Standard F correlated entirely with face-to-face teaching, such as communicates with appropriate school staff regarding specific accommodations, modifications, or needs, F2, uses data to identify learners who need additional support services, F3, and creates alternative formats of course materials if needed in order to meet the needs of diverse learners, F4. I have and continue to complete all of these qualities in my classroom from daily to yearly. Standard G also correlates to face-to-face teaching, chooses appropriate assessment tools, G1, and implements a variety of assessments that accurately measures learners' proficiency, G4, are closely related to how I administer assessments in my classroom. Also, evaluates learner readiness and progress using formative and summative assessments and learners' feedback, G5. In the classroom, formative assessment is a big part in creating and reconfiguring lessons to better help my students. Standard H only applies to online teachers who have the freedom to create their own lessons. However, I was able to find one quality that matches face-to-face teaching. Creates, selects, and organizes appropriate assignments and assessments to align curricular content with associated standards-based learning goals. This one was H6, is a liberty I have in my classroom. I can supplement and create activities for my students to learn from, similar to online teachers that are able to expand their curriculum. The challenge of online teaching that I feel would be the hardest for me is the student issues. I would have a hard time with enforcing that each student is completing their work and are actively participating. In the text, it mentions other teachers' concerns that it seems that students either do really well or just don't do anything at all, from page 3, while another one states, others choose not to participate and consequently they fail, also from page 3. I know that I would have to work extra to form a rapport with these particular students to increase their motivation. Thank you for listening.